Hi guys, this is Mr. Assassin and I'm here to talk about Hunter x Hunter chapter 342. Yeah, I think it's 342. Now, this chapter, same as last week, has a lot of information in it. Lots of information and no action whatsoever, but I'm liking that because I myself read manga for the story behind it. I don't read it for the fights, and I don't read it for the artwork. No, I read it for the story. And Hunter x Hunter had one of the best stories that I read. So I'm liking when a chapter has a lot of information. So basically, I'm going to go right in the chapter, try to make a summary the way I understand it, and hopefully I don't miss anything. Now, the last chapter ended when Beyond Netero surrendered to the Zodiac 10, to the Hunter organization. And we clearly see now that he's being interrogated, he's locked in a cell, and he's being interrogated, and the thing is that he's telling the Zodiac 10 that they will release him and they will take him to the Dark Continent. And later in the chapter we see why. It's because the human, let me start like this, the human world, I will call the six continents that compose the human world. Yeah, I would call them the human world. Anyways, the human world had, in the recorded history, had 149 attempts to go to the Dark Continent, and in the last years, a couple of hundred years, they had 5 attempts. In one of those attempts, Beyond Netero was participating, so he was on one of the 5 trips to the Dark Continent. And the manga isn't pretty clear about this, but the way I understand it is that in these 5 trips, 7.5 thousand people were deployed in the Dark Continent. That's what I understand. Out of the 7.5 thousand people that were deployed there, and all the people were athletes. They were in fit shape, great shape, and they knew what they were getting themselves into, well, as much as possible, because it is a new continent and they had to explore it, so you can't know everything from the get-go. But they were pretty good from a physical standpoint. And out of the 7.5 thousand, only 28 survived, and only 4 of them could return to the normal day-to-day life. So their success rate is 0.04%, and that's a shitty percentage. But further than that, the administrator states that they wouldn't have even gotten to the Dark Continent if there wasn't this other species of guides, quote-unquote guides, to guide them to the Dark Continent. So this species, they say that it is a magical beast species, and I'm thinking that this species must live somewhere beyond the borders of the human world, but not in the Dark Continent. So beyond the human world, but not in the Dark Continent. And they are magical beasts, and they guide themselves. So without their help, the percentage of success will not be 0.04, it will be fucking 0, because they couldn't get to the Dark Continent without the help of the magical beast. And this makes sense, because the Chimera and Queen came from the Dark Continent, and she created UP in the human world, and UP was a magical beast, but we never saw when she ate a magical beast. And remember, she drifted into the human world. But maybe, and I'm thinking this now, she ate a magical beast on her way to the human world. So one of the creatures that in this chapter they are talking about, that they are guides, and maybe she ate one back then, and whoever defeated her on the island of the magical beast. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me continue with the chapter. So basically, the humans by themselves cannot go to the Dark Continent. They need guides. Now, the V5, the organization, let me change the webcam for a second. Okay, sorry about that. Have some juice. Okay, the V5 all gathered up in a room, and they were talking about the risks of going to the Dark Continent, how they could go there, what teams they should make, and most importantly, if they should add Kaikin, the country or the continent, I don't remember, add it into the fold and become the V6. And they take a vote on it, and the vote is that they should go to the Dark Continent. And making a parenthesis here, Mian Netero somehow knew about this. That's why he surrendered. He knew about this in advance. Well, either he knew about this in advance, or this discussion about adding Kaikin to the V5 and becoming V6 happened before he surrendered. And I think that's the case. It happened before he surrendered, and news of it didn't reach the Hunter organization yet. So he surrendered knowing that Kaikin was going to be added to the V5, they were going to become the V6, and they were going to go to the new continent, to the Dark Continent. Now, closing the parenthesis and returning to the discussion that the V5 leaders have, they take a vote and they decided they should add Kaikin to them. They should become the V6, and they should lead an expedition into the Dark Continent. Now I'm going to put a map of the Dark Continent. I don't know, somewhere around here. Hopefully I'm going to add a map. It just blows your mind when you think that there are 6 continents are in a lake, like small islands in a lake, and they are surrounded by the Dark Continent. And you can extrapolate and think, okay, if there is a Dark Continent, are there more continents like that? And is the Dark Continent in an ocean? How big is this planet? How big is this planet? I mean, maybe there are 3 or 4 continents in an ocean, and in one of these continents that they are naming the Dark Continent, there is a lake, and inside that lake it's the human world. I mean, with a scale that big, the humans are less than ants. And that's ironic. That's ironic because Togashi kind of hinted at this when the ants came to the human world, and without certain sacrifices and technologies, the human world could have been eradicated by ants. So, not quote unquote, in a sense, we are smaller than ants and weaker than ants from the Dark Continent. You can imagine other creatures that are in the Dark Continent, because Gon's father, Jing, stated that there are trees in the Dark Continent. There are trees that grow so high that they reach the upper atmosphere, and their roots extract energy from the magma of the planet. With vegetation that big, how big are the creatures? That's what I'm asking. How big are the creatures? How big is the bear on the Dark Continent? How big is the monkey on the Dark Continent? We don't know. But the human species was nearly defeated by ants. So that makes you think. But let me return to the chapter. The V5, well, I should call them the V6 now, because they voted Kaikin in. The V6 decided to send a party to explore the Dark Continent, but also decided to create a sort of an alarm system in case of a calamity happens. Because we all know that every time somebody went into the Dark Continent, a calamity happens. And look at the map. I should have the map somewhere here. Look at the map. In the last 5 explorations, they explored just the closest edges of the Dark Continent. They didn't explore the extremities, like the east extremity. They didn't go that far because the journey would be too perilous. They explored just the closest north and south edges. They didn't explore the east and the west. And that makes you think what kind of creatures are there. But I'm guessing we will see. Let me return, because I keep deviating from the subject. They want to create an alarm system in case of a calamity happens. And the way they do that is, I should say, brilliant and also barbaric. Because what they do is tell people, normal people like farmers, doctors, teachers, etc. They tell them that they discovered a new ring of islands outside of the perimeter of the human world, and they want to colonize them. Now everybody offers themselves as a volunteer to go there, but they do not know the risk, because even though those islands are not in the Dark Continent, they still have magical beasts on them. They have all sorts of risks that these humans do not know about. Let me have a drink. Sorry. Okay. And in a news station interview, you can clearly see that, because the reporter says that yeah, there will be dangers, there will be C-rank creatures there, but with the advancement in medicine that happened in the last 200 years, we should take on those islands with no problem. And one of the guys asks, sorry, I keep babbling. One of the guys asks if they will. The rumors on the internet are that there will also be A-rank creatures and B-rank creatures there, and the reporter doesn't even deny it. He says, well, yeah, there could be A-rank creatures there, but we probably will never encounter them, because the probability of encountering an A-class creature is very small, and blah blah and blah blah. And you can clearly see that the government, the V6, are lying to people about these things, because they knew about the dangers. But they want to create, the purpose here is to create a cushion, a pillow for the calamities, because it's barbaric in a way, but it makes sense. you could say diabolic clever. Diabolic clever. Sorry about that. They want to colonize the islands that surround the human world, and by doing that, when a calamity strikes, it will first strike the colonized islands, so it will strike the colonies. When that happens, they will have information where the attack is coming from what direction, and what is the power of the attacker, because the humans in the colonies will die, but they will die for the sake of information, and the information will be translated to the V6, and they can take proper precautions to save the human world. And the people do not know this, but it is a clever way to stop a calamity before it destroys the human world. And we will see what happens. We will see. Now, what else happened in the chat? Oh yeah, let me start with Gon's father, with Jing. Apparently, Jing will ally himself with Periston and his team and go to the Dark Continent with them. Now, it's clear that Jing has ulterior motives to go into the Dark Continent, and once he gets there, he will probably not stick around with Periston and his team. He will go on his own, because that's what Jing does. He's better at hunting alone. But so far, he will stick with them. And he brings back a notion that I forgot about, I completely forgot about. It is the Chimera and eggs. After the king Meliam died and the royal guard died, the eggs that were fertilized in the garden that Pitot and Poof created were still alive. So apparently there are 5,000 eggs with modified Chimera ant soldiers, because Pitot modified them to be more obedient, to have less of an ego. That was their purpose. That soldiers should listen to orders and not have that much of an ego. So it suits the V6 just okay, because now they have 5,000 Chimera ants that are prepared to take their orders. And they will send those 5,000 Chimera ants to create a path into the Dark Continent. Now, to create a path for the exploring team. Now, how that will go, we'll have to see. We'll have to see how will they fare in battle. But yeah, Jing is allying himself with Periston and his team. Bianetero apparently will be in custody of the Zodiac 10, and the Zodiac 10 will be ordered to go to the Dark Continent, to explore to pioneer the Dark Continent and start a quote-unquote golden age, which we all know that it's not going to be a golden age, because even if the humans find the resources there like oil, gold, coal, and etc., etc., even if they find those resources there, the risk in mining them is far too great. But yeah, in their mind, in the V6 mind, it will be a golden age, and they are ordering the Hunter organization to take Bianetero to the Dark Continent in custody. And if they back down, the Hunter organization will be discredited. If they go there, a calamity will happen. So the Hunter organization is between a rock and a hard place. But they are going there because Chairman Netero, the old man, practically ordered them to go there and pioneer the Dark Continent. I mean, he said it's not an order. Is it an order? No, it's not an order. Yes, it is an order. You know, he practically ordered them to go there, and they're going to keep his wish and go pioneer the Dark Continent. Now, what will happen there? I personally can't wait to see. I like the story. Togashi has opened a big door to his story. I mean, it could go on for ages. This story for years and years. The possibilities that he has right now are limitless. But we'll just have to wait and see. And that's basically the chapter. I don't think I forgot anything. So it was Beyond Net Terror and the V6, the exploration of the Dark Continent, the trips that were undergone, Jing allying himself with Pariston, and I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. So it seems that right now we will follow the Zodiac 10 and Beyond Net Terror and Pariston and Jing as they travel to the Dark Continent and as they meet the magical beasts, the guides, as they travel into the Dark Continent. And we don't know about Gon, Killua, Kurapika, Leorio, the Phantom 2, etc, etc. We don't know about them. They seem to have a sort of a time skip while they train. And let me tell you this, if Jing dies in the Dark Continent, oh, you know Gon is coming. Gon is coming. If the last wish that Jing has is for Gon to explore the Dark Continent, Gon is going there. I'm just saying that. Oh, and another thing, Kurapika. Togashi made a special about Kurapika, I think a few months ago, maybe a year ago, about the Kurta clan. And the Kurta clan, if I remember correctly, originated in the Dark Continent. That's why when their eyes turn red, they can use all classes of Nen. Because usually the spirit of an individual tends to go to one class, like an enhancer, a transmuter, a specialist. But the Kurta clan are all specialists. When their eyes turn red, they can use all the other classes. And that's intriguing, since they came from the Dark Continent. Are all the creatures on the Dark Continent be able to use all classes of Nen? We don't know. We don't know, but we will wait and see. And you just know where Jing is going. Once Jing reaches the Dark Continent, he will go fight Brian, the weapon Brian. I'm pretty sure about this because if you can remember in the book, in the manga, Jing's specialty as a hunter is discovering ancient ruins. I think I'm right about this. Discovering ancient ruins. So who's guarding the ancient ruins in the Dark Continent? The weapon Brian. And I cannot wait to see that fight. But until then, please rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye.
Any rational society would either kill me or put me to some use.